Okay, so basically, I still have not wrote, whatever the word is, my answer to my suicide note, which was going to be my next writing project. But I did write like a little blog entry post on Substack. It's called God Abused Me. Um, so I'm going to read it and then, yeah. At the age of 7, I had my first panic attack. I religiously would crawl into bed with my mother, soothed by her warmth. She never once complained. Memories of past horrors blurred into foreseen futures. I truly believe I gained consciousness the day I realized these memories burdened me with people's ignorant hatred. I was never liked, so I was never kind. I cared for others because I was taught to and had an underlying sense of empathy bestowed upon me by parallels unknown. Despite this, I walked around for as long as I can remember with heightened emotions controlling my day to day, making me a slave to an invisible force. A force I hadn't yet had the ability to intellectualize in hopes of understanding. I was a child who would wake up in the arms of her mother, suffocated by her own breath, screaming for the oxygen from the sins of my past lives to be condensed by the tears of my youth. It was the only answer I could reason with for a while. What did I do? What happened to me? These questions still ring through my mind daily. One night, after waking up gasping for air, telling my mom my heart was sinking, she rushed out of bed and frantically put on my heavy coat and scarf and called my aunt to come watch my brother. He was old enough to understand what was happening but couldn't comprehend it to the fullest extent because of his autism. I remember being in the car on the way to the emergency room, still dizzy from hyperventilating, wondering if I had scared my brother. Did I conjure the same fear in him that was running through my tiny 60-pound body? Did I do it to my mom too? My father nowhere to be found? My whole family? Did my friends go to school wondering if they'd ever see me again? I learned at an early age to internalize my mistakes, fault or not. I was out of school for a month, in and out of facilities. They came to the conclusion that I needed therapy to learn tools to calm down. It's all we can do, they would proclaim. Apparently, there was no treatment for 7-year-olds with panic attacks. I also learned that I was dramatic and my problems were mundane at an early age as well. Eventually, I went back to school and I can vividly remember walking into story time and all my friends screaming my name and coming up to me for a hug. My mom asked my teacher to have a talk outside where she would explain that I needed to step out of class, drink some water, and do my breathing exercises whenever I expressed the need to. She obliged, and I went back into class and started listening to the assistant teacher finish the rest of the story. Carrying on like the last month was nothing but a prolonged nightmare. That night, my mom helped me brush my teeth for bed and the subject of my attacks were brought up. Did everything go well today? I told her yes and that I was scared I was going to have one during school. She then told me something that would be a catalyst to me later in my life, realizing was one of the many reasons for my panic attacks. God is going to help you. I was raised in a Baptist church. My whole family lived in faith. My uncle, a pastor, and my strict Bible-abiding aunt ran their own church, the Fountain of Life. It was an old red brick building in the middle of a poor Hispanic neighborhood. It smelled like clean mold because of the crisp air of Nebraska's winters that would linger even in the summer. The church scared me. It felt eerie and lonely, even with aisles full of people. The basement where they gathered to eat after the sermon was the worst of it. It had the only bathroom that wasn't in the pastor's room, so at the young age I was, they'd make me go down into the dark spider-filled basement all alone to pee. I never understood how this overwhelming feeling of the Holy Ghost that would bring people to their knees, screaming and crying out to find relief for their pain, was supposed to be sanctified. Their cries would haunt me. It would echo in my head and cause chills that would flow up my spine, following up my pink poofy church dress. I also didn't understand how people who were supposed to be the foundation of all that's good could be so cruel. My Bible-abiding aunt, also the pastor's wife, was a disciplinary and instilled fear into all of the children in our family that conjured a hatred I still to this day have a hard time forgiving her for. Even as an infant, I would at times feel this so-called relieving light of God they had all claimed was their salvation. I would later come to the conclusion I would later come to the conclusion that this was the same engraved empathy I had mentioned earlier. I told my mom God wasn't going to do anything. Despite being raised in the church, it spewed out of me like even at that age the premise of God was already made up in my mind. My mom yelled at me, "Don't ever say that. Apologize." She made me get on my knees and say I was sorry. I remember this so vividly because of the emotions that I felt from this abuse of power. I had to say sorry to a God who left prayers of peace of my innocent mind unanswered. I was embarrassed, not because I was remorseful, but angry from being degraded by being made to talk to a fucking ceiling. She made me sleep in my own bed that night.